going on, y'all? 5 Sports Talk back at it with another video talking some NBA. And I was watching the Warriors game the other day with a buddy of mine, and he brought up an interesting question. He basically said, you know, what would happen to KD's legacy if he does in fact win a championship this year with the Warriors? And you know, a lot of people expect the Warriors to win the championship this year. They're the best team in the NBA, at least record-wise, and even talent-wise, we know that. But really, have we given much thought to what would happen? And it got me to think, really, what would actually happen to his legacy? How much would it elevate, and to what level? But then, the first couple of questions that came to my mind is KD the best player on the team when they win that championship? Now, right now, he's the best player on the team, but we've seen the past 2 NBA Finals, Steph Curry, who has been the best player on the Warriors, at least in the regular season, has not shown up in the NBA Finals. Last year, he was having a very poor series, and they ended up losing, of course. But even if they had won, he would not have been the Finals MVP, at least in my opinion. And the year before, when they did win the NBA championship, Andre Iguodala was named the NBA Finals MVP for basically coming in and changing up the whole series when the Warriors were down 2-1. So that begs the question now, is KD going to be the Finals MVP? Because that will matter. If he is the Finals MVP, it will signify that he's the best player on the team, and he is the main reason the Warriors won the NBA championship. So I believe that would elevate his status. But if somebody else wins the MVP, Finals MVP, you might not think so, but it would have a detriment effect to KD, saying that he could not even be the best player on his team and he had to join the Warriors, and it would sort of feed into the narrative that he had to join another team and sort of ride the coattails to a victory. Okay, let's talk bigger picture, legacy-wise. What will it do? Well, we don't really have many examples of players in their prime leaving their franchise. It just didn't used to happen. Of course, we can talk about LeBron James, and even to this day, LeBron haters is what I will call them, but really his critics is what I should say. To this day, still say, you know, LeBron does have 3 championships, but he had to go and get 2 from Miami. Sort of had to team up with D-Wade and Chris Bosh. They do still say that, you know. It's not to the level that it once used to be. I mean, we don't take away those 2 championships, of course not. But it is still said and mentioned. You know, the championship in Cleveland that he won last year really validated LeBron James and his legacy. He needed to win that championship, and it was basically like his first championship. And the reason we had that sort of narrative is because he had to go to Miami and get 2 for himself. So sort of similar situation will be there for Kevin Durant. If he does win a championship, I believe people will always still say, till whenever KD plays for him, until he retires, he always had to go to the Warriors, and he always had to go to the team that beat him to get that championship. Now, of course, he won't care. Whether or not he cares, it doesn't really matter, but that's what the narrative, I believe, will be. And again, talking bigger picture here, will that championship put him above LeBron James in legacy? Of course not. You know, LeBron is still the Jordan of this era, and KD is still in LeBron James's era. Now, if he racks up multiple championships, the conversation can and will change. But like I mentioned before, it's still the fact that he teamed up that people will bring up. It's sort of like if Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, and Gary Payton sort of teamed up to beat Michael Jordan, because he faced, you know, all 3 of them in separate finals, and so they just decided, you know what, we can't beat him, so let's just join up and do it. And I'm not saying it's to that extent, but you get my point that I'm trying to make here with Kevin Durant, and that's really the situation here. The only thing I believe will change if Kevin Durant wins an NBA championship this year is we will never be able to just call him ringless. That's it. He will always have that ring. Whether or not the narrative will change for he had a team up and whatnot, that I believe will always stay there. The only thing that'll change is we will just never be able to say he was ringless. We can never say, you know, the jokes people make about Charles Barkley and whatnot, and guys who never won an NBA championship like Karl Malone. I mean, they're still Hall of Famers, still all-time greats, but they never won a ring. Reggie Miller, etc., etc. And we will never be able to say that KD is ringless because he will have had a ring. So again, just circling back to the point here, it's just kind of interesting to me that we might not really put the picture in our heads of KD validating a championship until he sort of, in our minds, does it on his own. And that's just how I see it. You know, how like LeBron James, like I mentioned, had to go back to Cleveland. What if KD went back to OKC and won one for OKC? That would really validate that championship. Look, Kevin Durant could leave the Warriors after this season, and he could go somewhere else. But to me, the Warriors and his legacy, it's really difficult for me to see him elevating his status as much as if he would have had he stayed in OKC, had he went to a team like a Washington, which was his hometown, or even a team like Boston, just not the team that beat you. And that narrative is always going to be there, and even if he wins an NBA championship, I believe it will always be there. The only thing that will change is we will still never be able to call Kevin Durant ringless. So that's just my thought. Let me know what you guys think. What will this do for KD's legacy if the Warriors do in fact win the NBA championship this season? Leave a comment down below, and as always, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.